All right, welcome to the July 13th, 2023 Environmental Advisory Council meeting. And our first order of business will be to approve the June 8th meeting minutes. I never get my dog to stop barking. I don't know if we have enough people. Let's see, at that meeting, Jim, you were there.
Yeah.
I was there. Sumya was there. And Kevin. So we got 3 of the people there. 3 out of the 4. Is that considered enough? Or do we need a majority of the whole council?
I think you need a majority of the whole council.
Okay.
You need a fourth.
Okay. So we're gonna have to delay. Yeah. Don't know what's going on. So we'll delay that to our August meeting, approval of the June 8th meeting minutes. And now we move on to number 2, the fall tree plantings and the 2024 long-range tree planting plan. Did everybody see the email I sent out? The summary of the request for proposals they're going to be sending out in the near future. Jim, did you want to talk about this? I think they're looking for comments from us before they send out the proposals, request for proposal.
Found it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they were looking for comments from us now.
Yeah.
It was more like they were looking for comments once, the proposals were out and maybe they selected somebody.
Now, the first sentence of Dave Kratzer's email is, please see attached for your review and comment prior to the solicitation of proposals.
Was that the one for the long range planting plan?
Yeah, the July 10th, the
Yeah, that
one that
one.
came
Okay.
out Monday. So I think we should make a few comments on this. I mean, my comment, you saw the 5 sites they got proposed?
No, so that's just an example of what they want the person to provide as an end product.
Is that it's really not clear because,
No, it is.
well, what sites are they interested in? It
So
doesn't.
they provided, or they're going to provide GIS shape files for whoever's going to be doing the new long range planting plan.
Right.
Use that to find out what the township properties are, but they provided a couple of the ones from the previous plan to show what the end product needs to be.
And it was my understanding that what they're actually looking for is any township property at all. They didn't select specific ones. I
No,
think
that's what
check them all out.
whoever gets this project is going to look through the GIS files, find the township properties, and create a new updated plan.
Right.
Okay.
That's why my comment was we need to tell them the ones that have already been performed,
Yeah.
or at least
Yeah,
give them the entire plan from before to say this is what's already been thought out, go to different properties.
Although, isn't there a possibility we might want to add to some of the ones that have already been done?
Yeah, but I don't know, we'd have to find out from them. I would think that since it's the ones that have already been done and are already in an approved long range planting plan, if we want to do revisions, which we've done in the past, I think we just do revisions to those. I don't think they need to be put into the new plan. I mean, we could ask that question to Dave, but
Yeah.
they've already been approved sites.
Right. So this would be totally new sites.
This would be totally new sites. Like we've already, I mean, all the ones that we've done since I've come on, we've done revisions to those plans. They're just
Right.
kind of like, this is what we're proposing to do. And if things change, they change.
Yeah. And there's only 3 to 4 left of the 2016 plan.
I
I mean, there
think.
aren't very many left. There's only a few.
Yeah, well,
All right,
that makes sense, Linda. I mean,
Yeah, because then
I think you're right. We
said,
can always go back.
Yeah, they said whoever gets the bid is gonna have to attend, what, 2 of our meetings, correct?
Right.
2 of our
Right.
meetings, so we'll have to go over that with them and say, okay, this has already been done. We're looking for new sites.
See,
Okay.
that's why when I was talking to Alan before, I thought our role was not so much. At this time, I think the role that we're going to play, the more major role is after a bidder has been selected. And they want to sit down and, discuss the various sites. I
Well,
think
yeah,
that's when we could
that'll
really
be
give
the-
critical
Yeah, that'll
input.
be our major role, but I think he's just looking for, is there something else that we want to add specifically to the proposal or to the RFP?
All right. So we have any number of trees or anything? It seems pretty wide open right now. I don't know how.
No,
they're
like,
gonna-
I think that it has nothing to do, like, so the RFP is just to find somebody to prepare a plan.
Okay,
That's
so
when we get involved once the bidder is approved, we get involved with them to say, okay, they pick the site and we say, okay, this is what we want planted. This is
Okay.
basically just an RFP to find somebody.
Yeah, and I think when we did the other plan, the master plan, we didn't start out with any number of trees. They
Yeah.
selected the number, and I think we added it up. It came to maybe around 1,000 trees or something like that. But we didn't tell them beforehand, hey, we want 500 or whatever.
No, and
They determined that.
it says in the RFP that they put together, that the township put together, that whoever gets approved for the bid has to go to each site and make a determination per the site. Not per aerials, not, like, they have to actually have feet on the ground.
yeah.
Well, I also think on the first bid, didn't they specify, I thought they specified some species as well.
In the 2016 plan,
Yeah,
I forget.
it was either shade trees or evergreen.
Yeah, I don't think they
or-
said species. I think you're right, Ellen. I think it was more like shade trees, ornamentals,
or
and
evergreens.
evergreens, and
Yeah. Just the general category, I think they went with. How many parcels do you think there are in the township? I mean, this could
that
be a
are
massive.
left. Yeah, I don't know.
I would, if you go into small mini parks and stuff like that, I bet there's 10 or 15
Oh, minimum.
at least.
Yeah, that's probably more.
Yeah, I
than
mean,
that.
there's still that, like we did the tot lot. There's the parcel that's, I know I met Jim Majewski and Monica at the parcel that's behind the CVS on Oxford Valley Road. It's a residential, I can't think of the development. The township owns just a strip of land with the
Right,
trees on it.
right, 5 acres or something.
That needs to be, I know that needed to be replanted. I don't know what's going on with that. So there's
Alright,
stuff
well-
like that. So it might be just small segments of parcels or small parcels.
Well, we need to get
Isn't there
back
some
to-
areas that have dead trees that have to be replaced, like around the athletic fields?
Keola probably does, yeah. But that's,
And
Well,
the
that's-
township
Yeah.
building itself, there was one we planted and it died.
But I don't think that would be in the long-range tree planting plan for this.
No, that's something I think, I passed by the community center today, and there are several trees along there that are dead. I don't think we have to worry about that now. That's, I think, a whole different thing. And I'm actually looking at the original plan, and you're right. They specify shade, evergreen,
Yeah.
understory, that sort of thing. So,
All right,
on this plan, I don't know if we have to even worry about at this stage the various areas, because that's what they're going to determine.
yeah,
And if they come up with stuff that we think, well, maybe they're missing something, we could certainly bring it out at that time. But it looked to me like they're going to be pretty comprehensive. I mean, that's the way I think the bidding request was actually worded.
so yeah, they're gonna come up with a number of trees and types of trees and all that. Selected species should be listed on the LMT native plant tree list.
Yeah, well, then again, when you read that, I had forgotten about that. the original plan didn't talk about species, but we're telling them now to use the native plant list. So what I'm thinking is that we're actually asking them to put in specific species as well.
Right.
Otherwise, why would we reference the plant list?
Yeah, this time it sounds like they want that.
I think this time they want to bypass here's the preliminary plan, and then we have to go and redo
Yeah.
it to specify species. I think they just want to get it all done at once. I mean, that's what I'm assuming with that.
All right, well, somebody needs to get back to Dave Kratzer on this. So, any volunteers?
Yeah, well, I'm not exactly sure what to tell him. I mean, other than the fact that we're available for anything that he needs us for, which is pretty general.
Well,
I mean, like I said, based on the comments, I think I just said that I think they need to know what's been done, but again, we can discuss that whoever gets approved at this point. Or is there any other comments to the RFP is what they want to know?
Yeah, and I think
Not
they
really.
also showed them the original plan. They have a copy of that, so they should know pretty well what's already been done.
yeah. All right, well, if we don't have any comments, we should get back to them and tell them that.
And just say then that's it, yeah.
Well, if you want, what I can do, I can email Dave and just say, we don't have any specific comments about the new plan, but we are ready, willing and available to help with anything that anybody needs.
All right,
Unless somebody has something specific in mind that they would like to ask them. There's actually two parts to this too. The other part, Derek Fuller, the head of maintenance, he's supposed to be reaching out to these various nurseries as far as the fall planting is concerned. And this leads to the question that Alan and I were talking about before the meeting. Now, we had planned, Alan and I, to go to the August 2nd meeting because we thought that was necessary in order to get the approval for both of these things. But it looks like it's already happily and merrily on its way.
and that includes the fall plantings, you think?
Well,
This
I don't
fall?
know. I mean, I could certainly.
Yeah, ask him that.
Dave, I could ask him that tomorrow.
Right, yeah.
If we need to be there, or how is Derek doing? Is he making any progress? Does he need
Yeah.
any help from us? Whatever.
Which sites are
Okay.
getting planted in the fall?
Well, there were,
Keola, a little part of Keola, Fred Allen, and Memorial Park.
Okay.
I think it was, what, about 100, it was over 100 trees, I think.
Yeah, remember, we sent out a letter, and was it in April? I don't know, with recommendations on maybe 6 different locations, and they trimmed it down to 3.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because we had trouble with the golf course and with the farmland preservation
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. Yeah, I have all that stuff I know in the folder. So what I can do, I'll email Dave tomorrow. Just tell him that we reviewed the info. We have no specific questions per se right now, but we wanted to know about the fall tree planting. And I'll make sure I copy everybody.
All right, sounds good. All right, topic number 3, recycling. We decided on October 28th for the next Styrofoam Plus recycling event. It's probably too early to start publicizing it, but maybe next
What
month,
date again? What date?
October 28th.
Okay.
I don't know if we should make it Halloween themed or not, maybe confuse people, I don't know. But either next month or September, we'll figure out how many people with EAC can help out. And then based on that, I'll reach out to the Lions Club and see if they can provide enough volunteers for us to have what do we want, about six or seven?
I forget, but the number we had the last time was
Was good.
Everything
Yeah,
went really smoothly. There was
Mhm.
no panicking or anything. We took care of all the cars in an orderly fashion. So
Yeah.
whatever we had the last time, I would certainly do again because it worked very well.
all right. So that'll be the plan moving forward on that one, but yeah, we'll talk about that more, especially at our September meeting. We'll start publicizing it then. All right, recycling in LMT schools. Anything on that? All quiet? Okay. And now, Matt, anything on the 2023 recycling guide?
Nothing yet, just I can look over that maybe in a couple months to see if we can update it.
Yeah, it should be a dynamic document. I'm trying to think of the place in is it Tullytown, Fairless Hills, that takes electronic stuff. You remember, Gene? You gotta pay, but it's not very much for TVs. They take TVs.
It's called E something.
Yeah.
You-
Maybe recyclers. But yeah, maybe I can send you that information, Matt, because that would be a good one to add. Because
Okay.
It's Bristol, isn't it?
is it Bristol? Yeah, it's near the
Yeah.
Amish Farmers Market. I know
Right,
that.
right.
Or Amish Market, whatever they call that place. Right off of Route 13.
Yes. And they're really good. They
Yeah.
take, they take anything, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we want to get them on the list. And have you gotten any more feedback, Matt, from people on what works and? 'Cause-
I had like 3 emails. And that's about it.
Uh-huh. Okay, it'd be nice to have a nice revised version that we could hand out at the October 28th recycling event.
Okay.
People that come up, so that can kind of be our target date. Have
Okay.
something by then.
Mhm.
Print out copies and all that good stuff. All right, the proposed LMT ordinance to require 25% open space in residential developments. I was hoping Dan would be on the call because there are 2 parts to it. There's a zoning part and there's a saldo part, subdivision and land development ordinance. And I've only seen the saldo part. Jim Majewski sent that out. I sent an email to him asking for the zoning part of it, but I haven't heard anything back. So it's going to be hard to comment on that if we don't have the document. So
Well, there's something I'd like to add as far as that's concerned. I happen to like this very much. I'm not sure it's going to pass the legality test, but about 6 months ago, I proposed at a meeting, we were talking about clustering. And my question at the time was, could we make clustering mandatory? And this is coming in a different back door, but it basically is doing the same thing. So I'm wondering if, from a legal viewpoint, they would view this as a taking. I hope not, because I think it's an excellent idea.
right. Well, it's only
The
25%.
legal beagles are going to have to worry about that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, usually clustering is like half undeveloped, half you develop. And
Yeah, well, my view of that was when I wanted to change the clustering ordinance to increment it, to make it like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever, the builder or developer was willing to do. But again, that was not mandatory, but this is mandatory. And I like this a lot. I think it's the way to go.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not that many acres left in R1, R2, R3 that this can apply to. But I guess a little bit's better than nothing. So I don't know when the supervisors are going to vote on this. I haven't heard the date.
Have they checked with the county zoning board?
I assume they sent this to the county planning commission to look at. I don't know what comments they got. But yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I was talking to Dave Trulove a couple of weeks ago. He thought it was a good idea, but he was going to still look into it. Jim's
really?
concerned about the legality. He
Well-
wasn't sure.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he thought it was a novel approach, and I think it would be a win-win for everybody. It would save everybody hassle and money.
See, my concern is that we said 25% here. Is that somehow an acceptable threshold? What if we said 40 or 50 or 60 or 70? I mean, is one number good and another number bad? Or is there, let's say, a threshold that seems reasonable and other thresholds that seem unreasonable? So I think those are the kind of questions that are going to crop up. I hope that proves to be, at least Dave, our solicitor, thinks it's legal, because as I said previously, it's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, they've been talking about this since last November. We made
That's
some
right.
comments last November on a version back then, so I would assume he'd looked at it by now, but I guess you never know. All right, so like I said, we don't know when the board is going to discuss this and vote on it. It's going to be at least a few more weeks because they have to advertise for 30 days. And they advertised the Saldo part on the 21st, so it'll probably be in August. They talk about it. Okay, land use plans, really nothing new on any of the proposed developments. There's a chance that the Tolbert farm might be discussed at the meeting in, let's see, it'd be the 5th, the 19th of this month. Voted on, which I think is kind of crazy because they only submitted it about 3 months ago, the plans, and this is a big development, 108 acres, 78 homes. But we'll see. But that is a possibility. So if you got nothing to do on July 19th, you can watch the discussion on it.
Well, that's pretty quick, though.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you look at these plans, these are like cookie cutter stuff. I mean, hell, I could have drawn these plans, okay? I mean, there's nothing imaginative about them. I mean, it's one of the most boring things I ever saw. It's basically up and down lanes of houses with no originality or anything else.
Right.
So,
yeah, I know
does that mean that we have to approve that plan, or?
Well,
When we were at the site meeting, I had specifically asked them, I said, you mean you're going to make the rear end of these houses all go along Langhorne Newtown Road? And I asked them specifically about maybe saving some acreage that you could apply to the outside. So when you're passing by, basically all you see is vegetated buffers, and you just squeeze the houses together a little, and it wouldn't even have to be that much.
Well, I know the township and the developer in discussions to possibly save some of the area as open space. Because the township has one thing in its factor. One factor that it could use on this is that Creamery Road and Mirror Lake Road are supposed to meet. And they don't right now. They hit Yardley Newtown Road, maybe a couple hundred yards apart. And the township could require that they move Creamery Road so it does meet with Mirror Lake Road in a 4-way intersection. And that would take away a lot of the property on the Torbert farm. So they might be willing to negotiate to save some of the open space to avoid that, but we'll see.
But if they decided to do that, wouldn't the township have to foot that bill, not the developer?
Yeah, but you can get state money for things like that, at least part of it. They usually can.
Well, anything that we have in our back pocket that we can use to get some open space on this property, I think would be wise to use.
Mm-hmm. So we'll keep following those. Nothing new on the point. They had a site visit a week ago. You didn't go, Matt, did you?
I couldn't go to the site visit.
Yeah. So I don't know what came of that, but we'll keep following them. Number 6, our letter recommending an open space referendum. I know you saw some of Supervisor Weiss's responses. He doesn't seem in favor of it. And I was hoping Dan would be on the call so we could ask him about it, what the status of it is. Because I really don't know. I haven't heard anything. It's too bad. 'Cause it's a good idea.
I don't even have to guess. I think that the tone of the current board is that I don't think they're very interested in acquiring open space, period.
Well, yeah, the town, at least as far as Supervisor Weiss goes, yeah, he doesn't seem interested at all. But there are 4 other members, so I think maybe there'd be some interest. But that would be I think a good way to get some money for open space.
Yeah, and if history proves correct, the way we actually acquire open space is like being a dog on a bone. You just constantly, remind them and don't let it go. And sometimes things happen. I mean, that's basically what happened with the Guzikowski property.
Yeah, that took a while, but eventually got done.
Hey,
And
well,
there's an election, and Weiss will not be back in office in January.
Yeah. So he's only got 6 more
hey,
months.
Alan, I remembered the name of the e-place for Matt. It's e-waste experts,
Okay.
and that's in Bristol.
Yeah, I forget what they charge per pound, but it's not that much. I got rid of a TV for like $10, so
Oh,
decent price. All right, so it looks like a open space referendum won't be on this November's ballot unless they approve an ordinance to put it on the ballot by August 2nd or August 4th, I think it is, August 4th. And so that's not looking good at this point, since I haven't heard anything back. All right, newsletter. Anything, Paul? Do we need a newsletter? I can't think of.
We'll definitely put out one for the fall for the recycling, the styrofoam recycling.
Yeah, we should think about the topic.
I've been reading a lot about microplastics, and of course this whole big heat wave. I have no air conditioning now. My air conditioning died. So
Wow. Get it fixed.
yeah, well, it's not going to come until the 20th or the 21st, depending on the weather.
Well, Gene and I are going to Vermont, Paul, very shortly. So if you want to come over here, we wouldn't even charge you rent, okay?
I had a couple offers like that. I'm going down to DC for the weekend, so
Okay.
It's gonna be, yeah, hot down there.
even
too.
hotter there. But they got air
Yeah.
conditioning down there.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's think of things we can put in the newsletter, the fall newsletter. I guess it'd be September. Send it out. Maybe we can
Yeah.
mention the recycling guide again. Mention it to people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Marnack butterfly lecture was excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I could comment on that just briefly. The
Sure.
number of attendees was somewhat disappointing. I think there were 20 people there, and that counted, some EAC personnel. But then when I checked the records, I always made a point before of never really scheduling a lecture when the weather is basically nice. We always tended to schedule those at different times of the year. And I think that was, apparent for this last one. But I certainly agree with Paul. I think Mike Wheelbacher really gave a superb lecture, and I think the people who were there were very, very pleased. He also sold a ton of his books too, which I think made him happy. So,
Yeah, it's very interesting. Enjoyed it. So do we have any other potential lectures in the next year or so? We had that what's bugging the trees one.
yeah, and I'm going to check with her again. What happened? I think there was a death in her family, and I'm not sure she's even part of the Master Gardener network anymore. But I'm gonna see what I can do. The problem is I tried to contact her via phone and email, and did not have any luck. So the lecture itself, I talked to her. It's right on point, and I think it would really draw a lot of people because it's pretty fascinating. But let me see what I can do as far as checking with her again.
Okay. Yeah, because other than that, I can't think of any topics. we discussed.
I have an idea for compost if anyone's interested in that.
Composting?
Yeah, someone reached out to me on the next door group that I started, and they make like a compost tea, and they wanted to do like a lecture on just how to make your own like compost tea, that kind of thing.
Well, who's your friend Gene who does the recycling pickup at your house?
Oh, Heather, you mean Heather?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not Heather, is it?
Huh?
Matt,
What?
the name of the person is not Heather, right?
No, it's not Heather.
Okay,
It's a guy.
yeah, okay. All right, would he be interested in doing it?
Sure, yeah. He I can connect you to him and to go over the details. But from what I talked to him about, he's pretty interested in just kind of teaching people, getting his knowledge out there.
All right. Let's see. Like, Sunya's not here. She's in India. So odds and ends. Matt, you wanted to talk about bike paths.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if there was any plans to improve the bike paths. I know as a biker, it's kind of hard to get from some place to place depending on where you're going.
Well, I think
Well, they're
we talked to
building a
Jim
lot of bike
Majewski
paths.
about that when we were up at the golf course, and they're putting in bike paths there. According to Jim, they're putting in several more bike paths through Lower Makefield Township. So Matt, you might want to check with Jim Majewski to see what the specific plans are. I'm a big biker, but I tend, not to use the bike paths. I tend to use the road, which maybe is not the smartest thing in the world to do. But according to Jim, they were going to be putting more extensive bike paths all throughout Lower Makefield. And the one I know specifically is right next to the golf course. And that's either a walking or a bike path, whatever you want to call it. And also the ones right up here at the corner of Edgewood and Oxford Valley. They're certainly dual purpose walking and bike paths too. The problem I always had with those is that continuity. Somehow you lose the path for 100 feet or 200 feet.
Yeah,
It's an issue because when you're biking, you want continuity. You don't want stops like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I was in DC, the bike paths that they had kind of were wider, and they had painted lines on the grounds, and then they also in some places had like plastic barriers, but not like vertical, not horizontal barriers, but vertical barriers, and it created like a very distinctive difference between the bike paths and the car lanes. So it felt more like you had the right of way, and it felt like you were very safe when you're riding the bike, and you didn't have to worry about cars getting too close or driving too fast.
Do you have any specific locations where you think it's dangerous? Because you could,
I can put a map together. But riding into Yardley is pretty dangerous. Like from where I'm near near the fire, the Giant and the McCaffertys.
yeah.
And if I ride my bike into Yardley, it can get there's some areas where you have to go on the road, and
Well, just make sure your suggestions don't cost a whole lot of money, because I know.
Yeah, we'd have to go eminent domain to get some of the land from the homeowners along Edgewood, especially.
Well,
Yeah, that in the past was a huge issue because along Edgewood Road, there's at the end that we tend to where we live, there's many old trees and things like that. And the people basically just didn't want it. And I know the township looked into that before because, again, you're looking at a huge expense. But I think you ought to check with Jim Majewski personally, send him an email telling him, of the concern, and then ask him what the future plans are. And then, maybe just mention to him, hey, what about something like this? Or wait till the next meeting, and then we can discuss this as an agenda item after you've had a discussion with Jim.
yeah.
Okay.
Park and Rec might have something on bike paths on their website. If you go into the township webpage and look up Park and Rec, that committee, maybe they'll have something. I know they talk about bike paths some. So.
Yeah, that's a good point, Alan. I think basically you should check with Monica and Jim. I know Monica especially is in favor of, more bike paths in the town.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, Linda, should we drop the proposed, what is it, brush, grass, and weeds?
I have no idea what's going with that. Jim was supposed to get in touch with me, Jim Majewski, and I have no idea what's going on.
And he didn't? I'm shocked. Wow. Well, do you see any? Do you have a great interest in pursuing it? I know Jim had some hesitation, right? You thought there was something.
I'll try him again because it needs some revisions.
Yeah.
I'll shoot him another email and see what's going on with it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's on vacation this week.
I don't know.
See, the reason I'm a little nervous about this was like the aftermath of the original request to screw around with the native plant ordinance by adding 10% non-natives and a bunch of other stuff. And then all this other stuff started flowing from that original request. And I think the original request pretty much is dead now because that primarily because of the EAC and our objection, numerous objections. It really didn't gain any traction in the town, and that was certainly fine with us. So this was kind of a leftover thing. And I guess it has some merit because it talks about maybe meadows in the front yard and things like that. And these are topics that are cropping up in various townships and municipalities. What's a weed and what's not a weed? Is this appropriate for front lawns? All that kind of stuff. So I think eventually down the road, we're going to have to do something as far as that's concerned. But I mean, this has been sleeping for a while, and I don't think it's upset anybody while it's been sleeping.
Yeah, I know Dan's in favor of it, but that's the only person I've heard about it being pursued.
Well, my personal feeling is basically, to leave it alone unless we start getting prodded. If we get prodded, well, yeah, I mean, Linda has some excellent input, as far as that's concerned. And it's something that we're basically going to have to look at down the road, because this topic isn't going to go away, especially with naturalization and native plants in the forefront and all that kind of
People want
stuff.
to naturalize their yards. There's a house near your house, Gene and Jim, on Edgewood that has their front yard. It looks pretty much all naturalized.
Yeah, but
They got
they
away
did
with
it
it.
like they did the basins. If you notice, they don't go up to the road. They cut about 2 or 3 swaths, and that gives it the impression of something that's that not necessarily, it's something that's planned, and it almost looks like, a picture in a frame. When you look at it, I didn't find it objectionable because of the mowing around it. But if the mowing wasn't there, I think it would be a totally different look. And that's the kind of thing, I think, the questions that this brush ordinance would probably address.
Mhm. All right, anything new on the Audubon Birdtown program? Jim, weren't you gonna?
I can't find anybody. I checked with 2 people. I can't locate them. I'm not sure they're even around now. But I think Gene is going to check with Laura Brandt. Now,
Yeah,
Laura was involved in it, but unfortunately, her husband is in poor health right now, and I'm not sure the timing is really appropriate.
mhm.
But what are you talking about primarily, Alan? I mean, just getting involved as a bird town again. Technically, we're a bird
Reactivating
town.
it. Didn't Laura send us an
pardon?
email saying the new guy who's running it wondered if we were still interested in being involved? Something to that effect.
Well, I think I remember something like, I think the answer would probably be yes, and then I guess the next thing is what they would expect us to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll look for that email and see what they had in mind. All right, the Makefield Park Steering Committee. Anything exciting out of them?
There's basically 3 different plans. Pretty exciting. The designs of the plans are going to be a lot better than what is currently there in terms of accessibility and capacity for families and young people and old people to kind of have recreational space in the same field. They're making kind of like an inclusive park for all age groups, and they're increasing parking, increasing the trails. So,
Oh, are these plans available to the public, or are they still working on them?
they still haven't. I guess they're
Released
still
them.
discussing them.
Okay. And-
Why 3 different plans?
3 different options.
Okay.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. And it's all Macclesfield Park.
Yeah.
Have they talked about snipes at all?
Not yet.
I'm still worried. Okay. Well, hopefully they won't get to that. Weren't they gonna have some environmental group assess snipes as far as the vegetation and trees? I thought they went out and hired somebody to do that.
So far we've only had the 2 consultants. They haven't been from a nature group.
They're from a nature group?
No, they
What are they doing at Snipes?
they haven't discussed snipes yet. From my understanding, if there's enough parking in Macclesfield, then they don't need to expand it to snipes.
Okay, that'd be good. All right, thanks. All right, Patterson Farm and the Ad Hoc Property Committee.
Yes. There was a public forum held at the end of June. It was very well attended. They had it at the community center, opened up both conference rooms. It was standing room only.
Wow.
So there was a lot of interest from the public. People writing down, giving suggestions, talking to them about various things, like how the property will do with respect to accessibility, program, bird watching, migrations, native species, all
Oh.
sorts of things.
Mhm.
So that was kind of encouraging. I don't know if there'll be any results of that tonight at the meeting, but I'll report back on that.
Yeah. Keep us up to date.
Aren't they supposed to come out, Kevin, with some kind of final plan after they get, community, community interest or community input?
Yes, yeah. So they got the community input, so they're working on that, and eventually it'll need to go. Nothing's been presented to the board yet, or officially to any committees yet. So I think that process has to go through as well. So it's going to be a while.
Well, what's a while though? Do they have a date in mind? I mean, whenever I've sat on committees like that, I always push the date, because if you don't push a date, basically it never gets done. So do they have like a completion date in mind?
Yes, I don't know what it is offhand. I have to look at the latest
I
minutes.
thought it was
for that.
September. Sometime in September.
Thought it was what?
September,
No,
but that's just my recollect. So yeah, it's not forever.
Yeah, I mean, I'll update after tonight's meeting. I'll update the committee.
Okay. I guess they want to move the leaf piles. I heard that from somebody. Yeah.
Yeah, they wanted that. I mean, nothing's set in stone, but they are considering moving it over and having a composting area where Bright Farms was.
Right.
But that's, all possibilities right now.
All right. Well, keep us up to date.
We'll do.
And the last thing, Kevin, you brought up the community day.
Yes. Yeah, in the past we've had a table there. I don't know if anyone's talked about it
Well,
or
yeah,
with anyone.
I know the Braves aren't going to be around. I'm not going to be around, so you have to have at least two people. I think it's August
What-
26th. It's not Labor Day
August
week.
26th.
26th, yes.
Okay.
It's like the weekend before.
Mhm.
So if you can round up the people,
Okay, let's see what I can do.
Hall
Yeah,
has a tent. I know that.
Well, we borrowed it from Experience Yardley. They still have it. They don't use it anymore. They're using the gazebo now
Yeah.
and at Buttonwood Park.
But if you do that, I'll make copies of some of our documents, the recycling document, and how to properly recycle at home, all that stuff.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. My daughter's moving to Canada. I don't know what date she's going to be moving into University of Montreal. She's got a permanent job now.
Okay.
Ooh, Montreal. Nice to
Yeah.
see.
They made her an offer she couldn't refuse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get enough people to do that. It's my daughter's birthday is that weekend, and we usually do something on Saturday, but I don't think we're doing something on Saturday, so I might be able to do it.
All right. Okay, on to open discussion. Anybody have open discussion items? Not all at once, come on.
Gene and Jim, is your house all right up in Vermont with all the
No,
flooding?
no, we've had some flooding. Jean's daughter is up there right now. And I've signed up for Vermont weather alerts. And like for the past week, I've been getting one a day almost. And I got one about 2 hours ago saying that more rain is on the way. The problem with Vermont is it's mountainous and hilly. So when they have a lot of rain, that rain actually, when it's coming down the hills, really is forceful and it can blow stuff out of the way. Now, our place up there has basically secondary roads. There's 5,000 miles of secondary roads in Vermont, and they're basically packed gravel. And they hold pretty good, but when you have storms like we've had recently, the roads start giving away. Now, we're about 800 foot from the road in a downward slant. And part of the road has been eroded, but you can still get cars up and down. So our neighbor, actually, what he did, he actually created an additional deeper swale for the water to stay off the road. So Gene's going up tomorrow and I'm going up in about 3 or 4 days. So we'll assess the damage then and see what has to be done. But, you know, rural living sometimes is not everything it's cracked up to be.
Yeah. All right, looks like it's 4:57, so should we call an end to a meeting? Make a
I think
motion?
so.
You making a motion, Paul?
Yeah, I'm making a motion to end the meeting.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right.
Somebody second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And our next meeting's August 10th, and
All right.
if I see anything for the recycling guide, I'll let you know, Matt. Any
Okay.
additional stuff. Look around, and everybody should let Matt know. He's our connection.
All right.
All right. Well,
See you in
have a good
August, I
July.
hope. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Take care, everybody.
All right. See you in
Thanks.
August.
Okay.
Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.